Hello, welcome back to our software development training. Lesson 6, Styling HTML document. My name is Jojo Encho. What you should expect today? In today's lesson, we're going to set up our development environment. That should take us approximately 8 minutes. And then we will introduce the HTML document and begin to style the element. We will also set up a local server and then we'll connect our source code to GitHub. I promise you we're going to have a very interesting lesson today, especially for those who have been following our lessons so far. If you haven't, then I will encourage you to find our previous 5 lessons before this, and then you can also enjoy the lesson. So, are we ready? Let's proceed. Alright, in this first exercise within the next 5 minutes, we are going to create a working directory. We will install the Python software. We will create an HTML document, and then we will serve it over a local server. Now, this is more like a repetition for those who have been following the lesson so far. Creating a working directory, we've already learned about that. However, we will go through once more. The new thing here is installing the Python software. Python. Yeah, I did mention of Python when we were talking about programming languages. You remember? Yeah, that programming language, Python, we will get a copy and install on our machine if we don't have that already. Okay, so without wasting my time, we move to anywhere on our machine, create a folder, we call that our working directory, and then we will create a folder for our app. Okay, so you can create this folder anywhere on your machine, on your desktop, or in your Drive C, or in any document folder. Go ahead, create a folder there. This is lesson 6, so you can label it as such. Go ahead and create a folder anywhere on your machine. That is going to be your working directory. That is, we will put our files in here. Alright, so I'm going to do mine in here. I right click, go to new folder and label it SDT W01 S02. SDT W01 S02. That is going to be my working directory for web development series 2. We already ended the series 1, lessons 1 to 5, and we talked extensively on introduction to software and then web development. Software and web development. We are on series 2 where we begin real work. Okay, so this is going to be our working folder. This is going to be our working folder or our working directory. Okay, so double click to open that. Double click to open that. Alright, so if you have been following the lesson so far, if you remember, we already installed our IDE or our development environment, VS Code or Visual Studio Code. Now right click anywhere in this folder and look out for Open with Code. Alright, Open with Code is down here. Click on that and wait for VS Code to open this directory for you. Okay, it's asking me for trust. Yeah, I would like to trust authors or files in SDT. Yeah, let me do this. Thank you. I don't need this. Alright, so this is our working environment, and then following our previous lesson, we just go ahead to create our index.html Okay, so this is going to be the entry point of our web application. This is going to be the entry point of our web application. Without wasting my time, we will quickly go through the skeleton for an HTML document, which we have already learned from our previous series. From our previous 5 series, we learned the skeleton. We said that we begin by document type, HTML, and then I'll open the HTML tag as well. Then I'll go for head as well. And then inside the head, I'm going for the title. All right, I'm going to give my website a title. So, web development S02. That's fine. That's okay for now. And then after the head, I need to introduce the body. Let me add a header or a heading title. Welcome to my website. That is H1. Okay. Let me put hello world in H1. Cut this. Hello world. And then let me introduce a P element. Voila. Okay, that should be a full stop. This is a very simple HTML document. This is a very simple HTML document. Now we move back to the folder and then see what we have so far. Yes, the index is here and it takes the icon of your default browser. You double click to see what the browser has in stock for us. Voila, we have the title web development S02. Hello world, welcome to my website. Welcome to my website. All right, now you can see that it appears, you could see that when you click in the address bar, you can see // in there, // in there. This is not an ideal way of opening a website. This is not an ideal way for opening a website. So we're going to set up a local development server so that we can easily run our website as if or as though it is hosted in the cloud, or as though we are accessing it from a correct domain. For example, www.nkwenyim.net, www.nkwenyim.net. That is a correct website domain. But on our development environment, we will need a local server to be able to preview our work. Okay, so I know most machines already have Python installed. Most PCs already comes with Python programming language installed. However, if you do not have it already, we're going to head towards the Python programming language website, download the latest, and install it. Now, to check that, open any command line interface. From our previous lesson, I introduced you to various command line interfaces that you'll be using through your development. Now, there is one in the IDE or our development environment. So we go straight there to check for Python. Okay, so back here, we look at the title bar. We see terminal there. You select new terminal. You can open it up a bit. All right, I'm on Windows machine and it's default to PowerShell terminal. From our previous lesson, I told you you can easily change it at this right hand side. Click on this and you can choose whatever terminal you want to use. You have PowerShell as my default. You have command line, we have Git bash, and a whole lot of other terminals available. Now I will use the PowerShell. Okay, so I'm going to check for Python version on my machine. Definitely, I should have Python already installed. Python double hyphen version. Python double hyphen version. Okay, so it tells me that I have Python 3.10.0, Python 3.10.0, Python 3.10.0. All right, if you do not get any version or you get an error indicating that Python is not found, then we move to the Python website and download the latest version. Okay, so open up our browser and then move to www.python .org to head towards the Python website. Okay, so this is the Python language website. We look for download, and then you will have the latest available here. Download for Windows, because I'm on the Windows operating system. Whatever operating system you are, you may have your version there. If not, you look at the left pane of the drop down. You can have Mac OS here or other platform for Linux. Okay, so you click on this to download for your version. All right, so you download and then you install on your machine. During installation, just go ahead and then accept all the default. Just go ahead and accept all the default. For now, what we need is a Python runtime available on our machine. A Python runtime available on our machine. Okay, so welcome back. After installing Python runtime, you should be able to check for the Python version by typing Python double hyphen version, and that should bring you the version of the Python runtime you installed. All right, so that is it for installing Python, and then also for creating our skeletal HTML document. Let's move on to other aspects of the lesson. Okay, so that was very brief. What we did is we created a working directory for our series 2 lessons. We created a working directory for our series 2 lessons, and then we also installed the Python software. Finally, we created a skeletal HTML document. We created a very simple HTML document. Now, if you realize, I did not continue the working environment we created for series 1. I did not continue the working environment we created for series 1. This is because that was just an introductory lesson. That was to introduce you to web development, software development, HTML, and what have you. In series 2, we begin real programming. So I thought it wise to start with a fresh working directory. All right, finally, we need to fire our local server. It is a library that came with the Python runtime. Let me do it rightly. In Python, we say it is a module. It is a model that came with the Python runtime, the Python programming language. Okay, so the command to create a local server using Python runtime is Python -m. That is making a model, or we are calling a model in Python. Python -m http server, and then you leave a space, then you type a numerical value. Here I'm typing 9090. Now that is going to be the port number our local environment will run on. Our local environment will run on that port number. You can choose any port number. Ideally, the number should be something about 5,000, thereabout. Yeah, the number should be about 5,000. I mean, 4 digits will be okay, or 5 digits will be okay. All right, so we head straight forward to our development environment to launch our local server. To launch our local server. Okay, so we're going to preview our HTML document in our local server, and the command is Python -m, that is model, and then the model name is HTTP, and we need a method in that model is server, and then we will add the port number, okay, 9090. You press enter on the keyboard and wait for this. 7 HTTP on port 9090. Port 9090. Now head back to your browser, open a new tab, and then start typing http :/localhost 9090 /. This is what the instruction was: http :/localhost 9090 /. Mind you, if you did not type in 9090 and that you type in any numerical value about 5,000, preferably 4 digits, then you need to type that number here. Okay, all right, voila, you enter, and then your work will be displayed here. You hit enter, and then our HTML document is being displayed here. We have the title, we have hello world, we have welcome to my website, and we are running on localhost 9090. Localhost 9090. All right. So henceforth, for the rest of our lessons, this is how we will test our work. This is how we will test our work. Okay, so that is it briefly for setting up a local server for our development environment. Setting up a local server for our development environment. We downloaded the Python programming language runtime, and then we use the Python -m http then any port number available. I said preferably about 5000, that is 5,000, and also ideally 4-digit figure. Ideally 4-digit figure. There are a lot of explanations I can give later for that, but for now, let's do that, and we move on to the next section of our lesson. Okay, so after setting up our local environment, getting our skeletal HTML document, it's time for business. It is time for the real business. We're going to call the HTML attribute on some of the elements, and then we will style them. We're going to call the HTML attribute on some of the elements, and we will style them. In case you've forgotten what an HTML attribute is, then I'll urge you to look for our previous lesson on HTML attribute and properties. On HTML attributes and properties. So in this lesson, we will use the CSS selector for element, ID, and class. And then we will also look at how we can group element, IDs, and classes. And also how we can also call tree node, that is nodes and subnodes or nodes with their children in HTML, and then style them accordingly. By styling them, we will affect their margin, their width, their height, and their overflow. We will be affecting their margin, their width, their height, and overflow in this session.